What's going on? This is gonna be a breakdown for Canelo versus Jacobs. Um, I'm gonna start off by saying this is gonna be a great fight. It's really hard to break down a fight like this because I've noticed lately that when there's titles on the line, the fights are way more important. Um, Not to knock some of the fights that have been going on, but when there's just one title, you know, whether it's Lomachenko or Crawford, or because I think Lomachenko won a title recently too. But when it's like this, where there's more titles involved, you got the lineal title with Canelo. Jacobs has the IBF, which is an important belt. It makes it a lot more of a fight that's gonna promise more. Now, let's break it down. Jacobs has a loss from his past before he had cancer, got knocked out. He was a younger fighter back then. It was a different time. But he's still, somewhat in getting closer to becoming a veteran, as they say in boxing, 32, getting closer to becoming a veteran, 34, 35, that's when you start getting up there in age. Canelo's still pretty young. He's 29. What disadvantages are there for Canelo and for Jacobs? So, you got Canelo. He's won a lot by knockouts. That's all he does. That's his thing. That's what makes him thrive when it comes to boxing. That's his thing. I think Jacobs is just a hard hitter. So regardless on if he gets the W or if he loses or if he wins or if he wins by knockout, he's just trying to get the W. So I respect that. I respect someone that is all about the title, all about the W, and just wants to continue to, get to the big fight like this with Jacobs. With Canelo. So the disadvantages. What disadvantages does Canelo have versus Jacobs? Okay, clearly it's gonna be the height. That's gonna be a little bit of an issue. Now, the last fight that Canelo had, the dude was, I believe he was a little taller. He was a super middleweight, so he was outweighed. He's fought Julio Cesar Chavez, who took a pummeling and was taller than him and weighed a little bit more. And Canelo didn't even sit down when on his breaks. He didn't go to the corner and sit down at all. He stayed there. Yeah. Those were good fights, and look, Canelo knows how to fight taller guys, so this is not going to be a big issue, but at the same time, it's a disadvantage for him, Another disadvantage for Canelo is that Jacobs has experience. He's fought Triple G. He's analyzed every scenario when it comes to both fighters. Jacobs has the perspective. He has the perspective. So he's gotten to see how people treat Canelo, how people treat Triple G. He saw how Triple G treated him. He's paid attention to all the news. He knows what's going on. He knows where he's stepping into Las Vegas. So I feel like that favors Jacobs. The underdog is an incredible feeling. Being an underdog is sometimes a lot better than being the favorite, But Yeah, I think that is an awesome thing. There's a lot going for Jacobs. He has the contract sealed and dealed with the zone. So, Eddie Hearn is gonna back him. He's like, yo, go ahead, do what you gotta do. I got you the fight, handle it. You know what I'm saying? Do what you gotta do. Don't slack off. Go for it. So, this is his big shot. So, disadvantages for Jacobs. I've said it clearly on this channel a couple times already. I think Canelo's a little bit better moving backwards. I think Jacobs fights a little bit too wide at times, so he kind of has like a street fighting style where he's just swinging and swinging and swinging. And like, you look at Jacobs knocks down whenever he's knocked people down or whenever he's knocked people out. He's swinging for the fences. It's not a tactical body blow like Canelo does, or it's not. You see, like this punch right here, like that. You can see he's swinging with his whole body. Jacobs, not to say that he's not swinging with his whole body, but it doesn't look like a boxer punch. It looks more like a street fighter punch. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it depends on what kind of fighter you're facing. And I truly believe that if Jacobs was to win this fight, this would cause the middleweight division to be flipped on its head, because then people will come out of the woodwork wanting to fight Jacobs. He's been at the middleweight division for a while, and he's been one of those people that's been overlooked. He was known as the best middleweight for a while before Triple G just started steamrolling through people. But yeah, man, that's a disadvantage for Jacobs. I don't think he's good at moving backwards. I don't. And then finally, Jacobs might feel like this is not his environment. It might be too big. The show might be too much for him. I was watching the little special they have, and Jacobs was a little angry because they were in Mexico and they were making him wait. He was just waiting there. He didn't like it. I mean, at the end of that event, he got to get on a jet and he was gone. He was good. He said he wasn't used to that, but he got a little angry because he was being treated as if he was the opponent, like a challenger. He's like, nah, I'm a champion, I don't want to be treated like this, So that's on him. The trainer too. Trainer's got to be on point. But I feel like Jacobs kind of has a good relationship with his trainer, sort of like Canelo has with his trainer. So there shouldn't be any excuses from either side. Obviously, there's always going to be an excuse because it's sports, but they should be fine. So my take is that I think Canelo's going to win a close fight. I think this fight is going to get closer as the fight is getting towards the end. I think Jacobs is going to have a good 1 or 2 rounds, like around the 5th round, around there. The problem I find with Jacobs when it comes to winning a fight like this is that I'm not saying he has to be Triple G, but there are some things that Triple G did that gave him that edge, that brought him closer to a W, or got him the draw, or got people to believe that he won the fight, was the volume. Are you willing to pick up when it comes to volume? Your jabs, your movement, your ring generalship. Will you look like the champion that night? Because that's what's important. is making it look like you won. So it's kind of like a WWE thing, which is terrible at times because that shouldn't be the case. I mean, nowadays that's what it is. Before, you knew it. The ring generalship is what made people understand, okay, this guy's the one that's winning, you know? But it's also output. Who's putting out more punches? Accuracy, I'm going to give it to Canelo all day. And that to me is like, there's a difference. It's not a landslide, but there is a difference. Canelo lands more. He's just better with his shots. You know, he lands really good, and he is elusive. You know, and he's perfect for that little middleweight division fight. Like, you know, the guy's being a little bit taller than him, and him being at a great position to hit you and whatnot. So all the movement and stuff, all the stuff that he's done versus Triple G, moving up against the ropes, studying, measuring, those things, it's because Canelo's really studied the fight game. We got to give him that. You know, he's very experienced. He knows his stuff, and he probably was embarrassed by the Floyd Mayweather loss, and he picked up a little bit. Obviously, we all know that I've critiqued Canelo in the past. I'm not saying that he's my favorite fighter, but I do respect him because he did hang out with Triple G, and Triple G could not knock him out or knock him down, which is what Triple G is known for. And we gotta give credit to that. We gotta give credit to that, regardless of what happened, regardless of what we think of the judges, the refs, Oscar De La Hoya, blah blah blah. It is what it is. Those fights were awesome, and Canelo hung out with Triple G. He dished back. So I have a different perspective when it comes to Jacobs, because he did not really hang out with Triple G like that. People are overreaching, in my opinion, when it comes to that fight. I still think it's an 8-4 fight. Very different from Canelo in the last fight with Triple G, which I thought Triple G won a 7-5 type of fight, which was a way better fight than the first, by the way. I think the first was more of an 8-4 for Triple G, but Jacobs was an 8-4 for me versus Triple G, and he's really got to change just the way he punches, regardless of the moving backwards thing, because obviously I think he's very athletic and he knows how to move. He understands that what Canelo did to get a draw versus Triple G was brilliant. But can Jacobs do the same? I don't know. So if he can't really do the same, then he's got to fix something, and I think it has to do with his telegraphing. He can't fight too tall. That's how I see it. He can't fight too tall. I think he's got a pot shot. I think he's got to get in, get out, kind of like a Manny Pacquiao type of thing, and hit hard, man, because Canelo's going to come with that smoke. So that's what Canelo does. The only reason why he had to change his patterns, Canelo, was because of Triple G, and Triple G's constantly jabbing you. But this is his field of the way he fights, just, you know, combinations. Jacobs does not do that well with combinations. He's more of an inside fighter, and then he breaks into combinations, and then he chases you, and then he moves around a lot. So I hope to see something different from Jacobs. I like the way he fights inside. I don't know if that's where Jacobs wants to go with Canelo. That might be his game plan, and it could work for him. So I don't want to leave that out for Jacobs. I can't say that he's going to lose the fight. I think it's more like a 60-40 or even a 65-45, you know, something like that. I'm saying 35, 65. I'm sorry. Yeah, I give Jacobs that much of room, and he's gotta bring it. He's really gotta bring it, because Canelo is definitely gonna try a little bit harder than his last fight, because his last fight wasn't on his level like that. It was kind of like a alley-oop, you know. So the reason why I'm talking like this, I'm saying these things, is because I don't think it's a 50-50 fight. And my biggest critique of the fight is that if Canelo wins, a lot of the casuals are going to say what? Well, that's it. He closed the door on the whole Triple G chapter. This guy gave Triple G the most trouble, and Canelo beat him convincingly, and he took his title. So there's only one title left. But at the end of the day, if you see Canelo at the end of that fight with all those titles, you're not going to give a crap about the last one that he doesn't have, which is the WBO title. He has all of them. He has all of them. There's nothing else for him to grab. He has the lineal, and he also has the ring from Triple G. He has everything that Triple G wanted right there in his hands, and the WBO stuff is if he wants it. But he could make a spectacle of it, because at the end of the day, guess what? Andrade's with DAZN. He's with the zone. He's with DAZN, I was going to say. So, hey man, you guys, we need to tune in. This is a big fight. One of the biggest fights of the year. So, you know, we got to tune in. This is going to be marvelous. It's a big fight. So, get your $20 ready for the zone. I'm prepared. I'm ready. So, I want to know what you guys think of my breakdown. Let me know how you feel about the fight. Keep tuning in. It's your boy Rick's Righteous, and let's try to keep boxing alive, yo.
So it's burning me left, a shepherd to the sheep, a paternity test. We show that I'm your father, boy, learn some respect. You feel that? That's my foot on your motherfucking chest. I swear I wrote the book on how to come for your neck. Pull your card, your numbers up, crumble your deck. What's a lion to a dinosaur? Call me Righteous Rex.